So hello everybody, welcome back to another live stream, and we're back with another one once again with the F1 CRR, the Classics Championship Round 9 here at the Belgian Grand Prix. So it's going to be even double action tonight with a sprint race that is packed up with some, I think 25% sprint race, qualifying, 80 minutes of qualifying first, and then the sprint race, then onto the main Grand Prix as well, which is obviously going to be amazing with all these drivers around Chris making it 2 in a row. And I think 2 or 3 in a row, in fact, at the previous race at Silverstone for the British Grand Prix. It was a great fight for some parts of the race between the two drivers, between Serton and Chris for some time, but in the end, it had to be Chris who took victory in front of the British fans. And tonight, once again, we are on it for an amazing and greater performance with all these drivers once again giving it everything, trying to regain everything. Certain surely last 2 races he was denied pole by Chris in the very ending moments of the qualifying session in Silverstone as well, but sure, he took pole at the Grand Prix Grand Prix before in France, and it is round 9 here at Belgian Spa. Surely it's a 12-round championship and not many rounds before it's the end of the championship, so Chris, well, could be looking to victory. So he's won 5 of the 7 races that have completed with fully competing results and everything. At the moment we are looking at Certain Pen at the moment. The man obviously wants to gate. He surely took P2 at Silverstone, but surely wants some redemption for himself, some redemption for his pole in France and front row at Silverstone that was at Tuesday, and everyone else slowly getting out of the pits as well. Chris still sitting out, doesn't want to come out early. No Sebo currently out on an outlap as well, along with Captain Teenless, who actually finished on the podium, I think, in one of the races, but after that he's had a quiet season so far. Didn't really see him at the top of the timing sheets, but sure, he would be looking to do something as well, as we're now going to have a look at no Sebo. Chris still in the pits, but Certain, who's just at the entry of the final sector and starting to get into the flying lap, as he's just a little bit away from the bus stop chicane. That's the final corner to begin his flying lap, which obviously it is going to be qualifying tonight, and then it's going to be the sprint race. Whoever wins that starts the main Grand Prix in first position. So wherever they finish in the sprint is going to be where they start in qualifying. So it's going to be absolutely great to see, as everybody now starting their flying lap. So Certain has, along with no Sebo, he's actually just ahead of Certain, so that, well, could be good news for Certain, that he might end up getting some slipstream of no Sebo's time out there. Teenless has just started his flying lap as well. He's actually way ahead of these guys starting on a flying lap. He's nearly just at the end of the middle sector, but I think his lap times don't seem to be that quick, but I'm sure we'll only get to know about those if we are just 125.8 in the middle at the end of the middle sector. Only if we are looking at the other drivers that have been in the middle sector. So Certain right behind, no Sebo out on track, and Teenless we're gonna have a look at. He's just making his way past that fast left-hander flat out through there, and is coming out till the end of the butt stop chicane. He should be expected to go P1 with a lap time of 2:03.6 to beat, and across that finish line that is going to be 1:57.5. What about no Sebo, the man who's just right behind him? He's just at the end, he's just before the end of the middle sector. It was 1:25 something for Teenless at the end of the middle sector, so that is 1:25.9. Actually, that could be some fighting out there. We'll have to see what Certain does in that middle sector. It seems purple for him, though. It doesn't show the same for no Sebo, but it is Certain just ahead of no Sebo. So we'll have to see how it is, as Chris is now on an outlap as well, as we're going to have a look at no Sebo, who's just making his way past the the bus stop chicane across that finish line. That is going to be 1:52. He's going to P2. He's going to go. What about Certain? He's going to go P3. Both of them having done laps just right behind, ahead and behind each other, so not going that fast. But Teenless time, as I was saying, that he definitely would look to make some comebacks. He is surely at the moment looking for one. He's just about a tenth quicker than Nocebo, but sure he is, and he's at the moment staying in pole position. What about Nocebo? He's surely definitely going to be looking to improve, and he does improve by just more than a tenth. That is pretty much what he needs to go P1 at the moment. We'll only get to know what is Certain doing. I think sure he must have done a decent lap time as well, but Chris has just begun his flying lap now. Chris is always the man to beat for every single one of them. Every time they're out on the racetrack, I'm sure they're thinking that they have to beat this man, have to get something out of that, and something out of themselves that could beat Chris out in the race. And we'll have to see how much is anybody improving by. Nocebo just probably just at the end of the final, at the middle sector, almost improving by half a second there. 4.6 tenths. That is a very big improvement as well. What about Certain? His time is not seen in the moment, but sure, we're going to have a look at now both of these drivers. Right behind them is No Assist, who only puts up P11, slowest of all kinds of running cars that are 20 in this moment. The pole sitter currently in the pits. What about Nocebo? He's surely done a great lap this time. That is going to be P2. He goes pole position. What about Certain then? And then Certain goes P2, a P1. That is 157.1. Certain goes from P3 to P1. Really good improvement. And wow, Chris Sniper, I'm sure that something must have went wrong for him on that lap. He's a whole 2 seconds down than the top three guys. That is definitely something to worry about for him, but I'm sure, knowing Chris, he'll just somehow find a lap out of it, and in the end get something better, as Teenless is out of the session now, but he's currently in the pits in P3 with Chris Knifer at the end of the first sector. How much is he going to improve by? Does improve by over 9 tenths, but is he going to be enough? He's nearly 2 seconds, 2.3 seconds off the pole sitter's time. Nearly invalidates the lap, just almost getting his all four wheels off the line, as Certain at the moment doing a fantastic job, looking to improve again and again, but I think he's probably going to pit this lap. But sure, he's going to do all he can, try and get his car to the top of the timing sheets. At the moment, P1. Remember, back in at the British Grand Prix, it was Certain who was almost on pole for the majority of the session, but in the end, it was Chris who took pole towards the end of the session, which obviously was. Sure, he was in some way, he must have been expecting that, but obviously he doesn't want that, that's for sure, and we know that. But Certain now at the moment has the quickest lap time of all, and he's carrying on, so we have to see if Sebo is going to pit or is he going to carry on. No, Sebo is going to go into the pits. What about Certain? I think he must do the same thing as well. He will do. What about Chris? We have to have a look at him. He definitely will be looking to improve, and all the drivers, he would be wanting to get better than those who've entered the pits. And he's slowed down. He's really slowing down. He's simply slowed down. I think something must have went wrong for him on the lap. He was improving by a mile, but he slowed down completely to some instincts, and that is going to see him still stay P4. Something's about not right for Chris at the moment. No assist, not improving on his previous lap time, currently P5 and slowest of all of our drivers that are in the session tonight. We have to see for Chris to improve over 5 seconds off. He was 4.5 seconds off of his previous lap, but obviously I'm sure he would be looking to improve and try and perform and do all he can, but we'll see what is the best, what he can show us. I'm sure he can. Is improving by over a second, 1 second on this lap, so surely he knew that something might have, maybe the final corner he would have not braked worse or outbraked himself, so he didn't want to ruin the tyres by locking up or just putting it in the wall sometimes, as we've seen him do so. So obviously he wants to improve and be at the top of the timing sheets, keeping the car within those white lines, just really closely following there. And I'm sure all of his rivals watching out from the garage. Certain Penna definitely would like to do another lap, another run on the dry tyres, on the brand new ones. Obviously not doing one in Silverstone costed him pole position. I'm sure he's well aware of that, along with Chris, and Chris now might get traffic. I'm sure he has got some kind of blockings. Still 2.5 seconds quicker than his previous lap time at the end of the middle sector. That is almost just what he needs to be going P1, but I'm sure it's going to be really close if Certain has some more time in him. And Chris now, we have to see, the last 2 laps haven't been the best for him, but something in the end comes up that he doesn't like, just invalidates the lap. What about this one? The third and might be the final lap before he goes into the pits, but across that finish line, that is going to be even more bigger benchmark. He improves by over 3.8 seconds and goes pole, on provisional pole, by 1:55.5. That is almost 2 seconds or even more that he takes pole position by, and that is absolutely phenomenal lap. Everybody was waiting to see if Certain was going to keep his pole position. Sure, Certain himself wouldn't have expected this bigger of a gap. That is 1:55.578 from Chris Sniper. And at the end of the first sector, is he going to improve once again? He will not, though. 5/10 off. But I think this pretty much might be the one and only lap that Chris need to go pole position, or otherwise we say the track might be ramping up. Or it might have ramped up, as I showed 4/10 better for Chris for no Sebo, even on an outlap, which obviously is never one of the quickest laps. So we'll have to see what is the case, because if any of the drivers out there are able to improve, no assist is definitely not. He's 5.9 seconds off, currently P5, but we'll have to see. Miss Teenless, Captain Teenless, who was the first one to set up a lap time out on board, currently P4 as well, but I'm sure he's looking to improve. So is Certain, so is no Certain, just coming out of the pits now, just towards the very end of the session at the moment. P2 for him and P3 for no Sebo instead. Really been the previous stream was absolutely amazing, but I definitely in my cough syrup at the moment of how the situation is. But no Sebo improves by over by 3.5 tenths, but that's obviously not going to. That's obviously not going to be enough for him, but how much does he improve by? So you will need about 1 point. About 1.3 seconds to pretty much improve. Or even, surely doesn't need 1.3 seconds to improve, but definitely needs it to improve his lap time. And I'll definitely need to do something about my problem. Just give me a minute, I'll be back in. There you go, we are back now once again. Apologies for the time missing out there. No Sebo currently looking to improve as much as he can, obviously. Trying to catch Chris, the man at the top. But now, certainly not being able to improve at all on his previous lap time of 157.144. Jordan No Sebo seeming looking to be the closest competitor to Chris Neifer at the moment, with just 40 seconds now remaining in this qualifying session. Chris Neifer seems to be having pole. With just 20 seconds now remaining. Just remaining in this qualifying session. Obviously, it's sprint qualifying. So starting in P2 doesn't always mean that you will finish in P2 in the races. There is a chance, and there's always a chance for anyone starting behind to do a better job in the race in over more. In a better environment, in a better performance they can show in a race or in a longer format. So No Sebo has taken the checkered flag. That is going to be pretty much P2 for him. Unless Chris Neifer is not going to improve. He's going to surely take his pole position unless certain could improve or do a way better lap than his previous lap time. He surely needs a whole second for 156.0 or 156.1. We'll have to see how good he's going to be. So that is going to be P2 and front row for the Italian. There's going to be an Italy 1-2. And the front row lookouts for these guys. Chris Neifer takes pole and still even improving on an invalidate lap, finding more and more time. Well, that is going to be P2 for certain. Penna, who's taken 156.3. It was... I'm sure he tried, he gave it everything, got better than that, No Sebo, but Chris Neifer seems to be just in a league of his own. And now, so that is pretty much it for the qualifying session. Before we move on to the sprint qualifying, that is going to be even more and even better and amazingly doing a good job. But we'll have to see how it is and how is everybody going to be, what is everybody going to be able to do in that sprint race that we are going to be having a look at just in a minute's time, as we are now on board with Captain Teenlace. He's definitely not improving on his previous lap time at all. Currently sitting in P4. I think he has to know that pretty much is going to be it, and that is going to be his best result that he might just want to forget. But we'll have to see how good he's going to be able to do in the race. And sure, he sometimes makes bold moves and bold dive down the inside moves. He might try one because P4 and starting here at Spa, even if you're starting P20, there's a big chance that you could try and dive on P1. So we'll see what he does. If he just does some good driving, some good dive bombs maybe at the start, he could have a well chance to fight in the top 3 as well. Sure, not to forget there is no assist right behind him, who obviously would be looking to gain some positions as well. But we'll have to see if he doesn't make any mistakes. And he stopped at the pit lane entry, which obviously we don't understand what is the reason for that, and we're definitely waiting. He's the only driver that currently needs to get the checkered flag, and that is going to be it for the qualifying session here at the Belgian Grand Prix, which is going to be an amazing race that we are having to have a look at, which at the moment Chris Neifer takes pole at the Belgian Grand Prix by over 8 tenths. So that is huge pole position and a huge gap between P1 and P2. 8.5 tenths at Silverstone. That was somewhat 4.5 tenths, but it's even bigger here at Belgium, here at Spa. So it is going to be interesting to see how everybody does fit in the top 5. Still going to be amazing. So we'll have to see what they can do. I'm sure they'll be looking to do the best they can. They'll be looking to improve. They'll be looking to do the best job they can do for all of these guys. Obviously looking to get onto the sprint race and go about it, and then onto the main race as well. We'll have to see how it is. As we see on the left hand side, the car is bouncing, but obviously that's some kind of a bug for the game itself. It's got nothing to do with us, but we'll see what we can do as we're just waiting for everybody else to join, and then we begin in about 20 minutes time, 20 seconds time, sorry. So that is going to be 0, 3, 2, 1, 5 red lights, and we go for this formation lap here at the Belgian Grand Prix for the sprint race. That is going to be 11 laps. That is normally 25% of the circuit, so pretty much I think it should be an 11 lap sprint sprint race, and then in the end, towards the end, the main Grand Prix, which is obviously going to be. But I wonder if this is a formation lap or they're fighting. Obviously, this is a formation lap, so okay. But we'll have to see how everything it is, and we'll have a look around. These amazing cars screaming around in your ears. So surely it's going to be 11 laps of the sprint race first, and then towards the end, it's going to be the main Grand Prix. Whoever's whatever the position they finish in this race, they are going to start the main Sunday Grand Prix race at in that position. So it's really crucial to nail this. It's really, surely, doesn't matter if Chris is taking pole, he's gonna start on pole. That does not mean that, but that also doesn't mean if Serton's qualified P2, he's gonna start P2. He could go further back to the grid or come up and overtake Chris Snifer into turn 1. It's gonna be an exciting battle as we are just waiting for these cars to get to the grid as soon as possible, as they warm their tyres up and get the maximum grip they can into these McLaren cars. Most of the drivers use the exact same car actually, as that is, and also want to drive and decent to control as well. These classic cars and these V12 engines, which are absolutely amazing. So either they do a one stop, which I think probably going to be a slower one, and these tires can make 11 laps easily. So this is surely going to be a race without any stops, at least not planned ones. If someone crashes or has some damage, surely there are going to be, but at least not the planned ones, or they would plan sitting with the team. And Chris is really driving fast and trying to get to the grid as quickly as possible and before everybody else. There's going to be 5 red lights and we go racing here at the Belgian Grand Prix in the sprint race here at Spa. So that is going to be a good start for the pole sitter, but an even better start for Serton Penna around the outside. Is going to try and make the move into turn 1 and take the race lead. Surely he's going to be successful in that, at least for time being. And we see cars going right and left, moving around the grid to for a chance of losing positions and gaining some. But what about now? The pole sitter Chris Snifer has lost a position at the very start. As I was saying, that wherever you qualify doesn't mean that you're going to start there. And surely that has came into reality as Teenless is losing places far at the back of the grid. He did not have the start he wants, or usually he has some of those, and that is absolutely amazing start. And it's a virtual safety car already, as we're only on lap 1 as this race has begun, and a virtual safety car has came out because of some crashes and maybe yellow flags being called. So obviously there has to be some sorts of incidents happening on track. I think surely Serton didn't want that, because he wanted to get as far away from Knifer as he can, because obviously he needs to be taking the sprint victory. He needs some kind of a victory this season. He hasn't had one. He's got pole position. He stated first in qualifying, but never not able to do it in the races. But we will have to see if he's able to hold off Chris Knifer for these 11 laps, which are going to be excellent to watch and absolutely amazing to see the battle between these guys. So it is yellow, it is green flags already, and we're going to be seeing the battle between Chris Knifer. When is he going to go, and Sertan Penna, when is he going to go for that move, or is he going to play the patience game, stay around him, make him pressure, giving him some pressure, and lots of pressure that he would not want, but we'll have to see. When is he going to try and make the move? He might try and do it even into the bus stop chicane, try and make the move down the inside. He's really close to him, and that is the reason he almost pushes him wide there. Sure, he didn't push him wide, he went wide, and the Chris went wide as well. He thought for a moment to go down the inside line for the move, but just has to back out, obviously knowing that's not the better option, as into lap 2 these two are going to go, leading 1-2. Teamless has stop possession. Sertan Penna gets the fastest lap, but obviously that is not the best. That is not really going to be the best. This is now going to be counting more into it, as it says lap 3, but it is going to be lap 2, as we're going to have a look at these guys now going up through a rouge and ready on they make their way, as that's going to be at the end of the first sector. This is normally a DRS zone for the normal cars. Obviously they've got nothing, but sure, they've got the raw speed and raw the talent. For a moment again, Chris Knifer thought he's good to go for the move, he could take the race lead, but obviously not yet, and surely Sertan's not going to have it easy on him, almost going into the back of Sertan Penna out there. That was really close between the two. Obviously you don't want to be getting on into the back of the driver's ahead, and some dirt here that is obviously having it a bit harder for Chris out there, that he doesn't want to make that move successful. But sure, any place he finds to make that move, he will do it, but at the moment he's just playing the patience game. In this one, it's obviously you have to make everything. Nowadays it's normally like you just stay there and use the DRS at the ending laps, but sure, this time there is no DRS. And there is no battery usage. There are some yellow flags, and I think some people going behind, might be some, but at the moment we are focused. No Turbo into P3, surely he's going to try and catch up to the top 2 and get to these guys, but I think it's mostly like for however long Sertan could hold off Chris, he's going to be holding him off. Otherwise, probably a chance of a victory might slip away if he lets him pass, because Chris is probably in free air. He's going to be as greater as be it possible, and almost for a move there, but Sertan just has a chance to break a little later than Chris out there. But sure, both of them are giving everything. Sertan gets another fastest lap, obviously he's ahead of him, but once maybe there's a little bit of a gap between the two, there could be a chance. We'll have to see. One driver has retired. Teamless currently making a move past Jonas out there, as Noah now makes a move past Kaufman as well, but both of them are fighting each other out there. But we have to get past, we have to get to the top guys now. Again, it's going to be, the gap is about, we're actually not seeing that gap between the top 2 at the moment for some kind of odd reason, but Sertan's going to try and give it everything. He improves by over 3/10 at the end of the first sector. I'm sure Chris would be looking to improve as well. Chris nearly took pole position by 8/10, but in the race start he definitely did not have. I think definitely Sertan, remember in lap 1 in France, lost all the progress and everything, but sure, this is going to be a nice little treat to enjoy for the sprint result, even if he's able to get it to victory. But it's only on lap 3 now that these guys are, and I'm sure he's going to try and do the best he can. Only if it was a 5-lap race or a 5-lap sprint, he would have wanted, I think at this point he really wants it to be 5 laps, because surely he knows that 5 laps would be easy, but all 11 laps might not be easy, or might not come home as easy as for him, as easy as he thinks, or as easy as he would surely want. But definitely he's going to try and give it everything. Now for almost 8/10 he improves by than his previous lap time. But we'll have to see how good he's going to be able to do that. We have to have a look at some details out there. The fastest lap belongs to Penna at the moment, 1:59.2. But for how long though? Because definitely that is not gonna be as easy as he would think, and he again for a moment thought that he could go for that move, but not for long. No, before there, and there is a penalty for no Sebo. I think it's a drive-through penalty, and he has to pay for it. He pits now, and Chris Knifer already gets a fastest lap, and he almost clips into the back of the McLaren of Sertan Penna, and that was really close between the two. But Penna's going to come back at him. So Chris outbreaks himself, and Penna's going to take the race lead back, and that was really close between the two. Almost as we switched onto the onboard of Chris Knifer out there. That was really close, almost going into the back and onto the gearbox of Penna out there. But I think this is probably going to be some defensive move from Penna would be required. Is he going to move to the inside line to defend? He doesn't move. He stays there, but Chris moves the slide a little bit, but he doesn't make the move. That was really close and something to give us a cheer about. As into lap 4 we go, and that probably ended horribly for both of them. Glad that Chris was able to stop the car before he could go into the back of Penna out there, because that would have been some horrible accident, and both of them would have been disappointed having to I think Penna might have been saved, but Chris would have sustained so much damage that he would obviously would not want, having won 5 of the last 7 Grand Prix. Having won 5 of the last 8 Grand Prix has to be the thing for him. And now Sebo making some moves after pitting again. He's surely, he knows that's not his race. P3 is probably going to be his best bet in the sprint race. I think even if he could stay inside the top 5, it's going to be decent enough for him to go into the main Grand Prix race, big race. That's going to be 22 laps. But this sprint race, the thing I like about this, unless you have a penalty or you don't have damage, you probably don't have to pit. The gap now is 5 tenths now between the top 2. We'll maybe go back on board with Chris Knifer for a moment to see how good does he brake. He maybe thought things for an inside line move into turn 1 this time. Penna has to be very cautious though to try and stay away from Chris out there, and this is really close. Chris might even get ahead of him before they get into turn 1, but is he going to try and make the move? Is he going to be late on the brakes? He definitely isn't. Senna is one, but is he going to try and do the switch back on him? He might try though, but that's not going to be possible for the moment. But he's on the rear wing and on the gearbox of Senna out there. This is Penna out there. That's going to be really close between the two now, going up through erosion. Ready on now. He moves to the inside line already, to the outside, to the inside. Penna is going to try and move and do some weaving around. He's already made the move, and he's going to make the move to the inside line, and Chris is going to go down the inside line to take the sprint race lead, but that might not be it as they make contact. That was really close, almost ended Chris in the barriers. Now that's 2 laps in a row. They almost collided with each other. In fact, this time they did collide with each other and make contact. That was absolutely clinical and absolutely phenomenal racing between the two. That is extraordinary. So Penna trying to make the move around the outside. Might have had not seen him or his rear right or his front left tire. That was really close, and now that might give some time to think to Chris as well. He almost would have ended up getting out of the race as when the lap previous he himself went into Penna, but this time it was the car ahead that was trying to make a move into the corner. They were going around the outside. He was trying to make the move. Surely he would like to cool things down, and I think Sertan Penna at the moment, Sertan's giving everything to take this victory, and I'm sure he wants it more than anyone. He wants to register somewhat of a P1 in this season out there. 8 of the previous rounds, he's qualified once on pole, but hasn't took victory so far this season, and I'm sure he wants it more than anybody, considering he's always in the top 3. He's always inside that podium places, but never been able to be on the top of it. Chris now really close. Penna moving around, obviously feeling the pressure, almost hitting the wall there though, but just a little bit close. And again going up through a rouge. This is going to be really close now. Again on the same straight. There is no DRS, but the slipstream is powerful enough to give us a battle, to give us a move to the race leader, to the driver in P2. Senna now moves to the left and to the right. This is really close between the two again, but not close enough as it was on the previous lap. And this is really interesting, as Chris is improving now in the first sector at least. He's looking to go quicker on these tires. Maybe he was saving some pace that he's going to unleash now, but we'll have to see. I think Penna has been pretty good, certain so far, so pretty actually decent enough with his defending, and he's done a good enough job to keep his P1 that he took at the race start. And as the 5 red lights went on, he took pole position. 5 red lights went off, he took the race lead, and he hasn't looked back. But how is it going to be? Remember the battle for the race lead we had at the British Grand Prix as well for some of the laps after Chris made a slight mistake, I think, having to slow down and giving up his position. It was still a close enough fight between the two. But now it's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be able to make that move once again. Both of them again just at the end of the lap. This lap battle has to be the one. No assist currently running in P3 as well as we look at the bottom of the grid. No separate currently P5, and that's pretty much 2.7 seconds. If he adds enough, he could try and make a move, and there goes Chris Knifer on down the inside line of Certain Penna out there, but he just breaks a little later than him around the outside, makes the moves, can't make the move stick. Chris still gets the fastest lap though, but now around the outside he's going to try and make the move. He's going to go on the inside line now. They might make contact, but Certain there does a great job providing enough space. But again, as the ball comes close, Chris would have to get past him. Chris would have to get a little bit away. But I think on this time, on the straight, he might just get him, and he might just have the chance. And now I'm seeing some rain droplets dropping out one of the driving cams. Chris is going to try and make the move now, and he's surely going to go on the inside line and still not make the move. And it is starting to rain now. But are these drivers going to be able to take the cars to the end of the race, considering it's already on lap 7 out of 11, so not many laps before the end, if there's just enough grip out there. But this well might be the chance, or horror from delight to disappointment from Certain out there, because obviously if it rains and Chris is able to just get some better grip and better performance out of those dry tyres, alright, being right behind him, but we'll have to see. I'm sure Chris now at the moment has to wait for a mistake from Certain, considering there is rain, but not a lot that we're going to be having a look at, as Teenless has pitted. I think definitely he has pitted, only having done 4 laps on these tyres. Chris is not giving up. Chris is never going to give up on that chance of a P1. Doesn't matter if he's 1-5, he obviously wants another one and probably wants to win every single remaining race. But around the outside, here and there, around outside, inside, he's always going to try and put the pressure on the driver ahead, and obviously try and pressurize him. But is he going to make the move, or is he going to go for the dive bomb on into the bus stop chicane? He's surely going to go for it, but obviously again has to back out, and it's raining quite heavily now. The track is not wet yet, it's very dry. He's going to go from the inside to the outside to the inside. Switches a great move from Chris Knifer. Finally has the race lead, and he takes the sprint race lead here at Spa. But moves to the inside line to get back to the standard racing line now, and he has taken the lead. It's taken 8 laps from the race start. I think maybe the rain coming up might have distracted Certain in one way or the other, but is Chris going to be able to defend from Certain out there? He's going to move from slipstream to the inside line, but who's going to be late on the brakes? This could be really close battle, and really close between the two out there. Chris Knifer breaking really late, but around the outside, Certain's going to try and make the move, and surely he's made the move already. They almost clashed as well, but Chris is going to come back at him. That's going to be really close to see. He's going to give it everything out there, and surely goes out there ahead of him. Both of them exchanging positions. An excellent battle out there. This has been crazy, but for how many laps though? Is Certain going to try and come back at him? Obviously no extra DRS or a battery to help any of these drivers, so it's all raw pace. Surely Certain, who was far off in the qualifying session, is giving it everything in this sprint session so far. This is going to be excellent though out there. We'll have to see. We'll have to get things around if Certain's going to be able to make a move though. I think it has rained, and now Certain might have the gap 7/10, and Chris might actually just be pulling away from him behind him, ahead of him. Obviously, I think that was a great battle. And as I said before, as soon as Chris gets ahead of him in clear air, his pace seems to be uncatchable. But let's never say never, as it's raining and these dry tires are on for all these drivers. And there goes Certain Penna out there having a little slide on the edge of the bus stop chicane, and that definitely doesn't help. Unless Chris makes a huge mistake or puts it in the wall, I think Certain is probably going to be happy and pretty much looking for a P2 finish here in the sprint. And that is interesting, as Noah Sis actually B3, I think. I wonder if he's finished B3 or on the podium the season so far, as he's going to try and make the move. He would not. It was No Sebo who's got to B4 as well. There's a good chance for him. I think probably he might 26 seconds, so he might not. He definitely won't be able to make that much in the remaining laps, but he'll be able to do something about it and get him in a better position for the race start. Obviously, he hasn't won since Monaco, but he's won twice this season as well, and we'll have to see what he's able to do, or where is he going to finish at the end of this lap, at the end of this race, at the end of this sprint race. The gap now between the top leaders is now increasing 4 seconds. Chris Knifer really, I think, really making the most of the mistakes that Certain made. Obviously, he's not making him. Maybe Certain have some pace, but in the rain coming up, I think maybe some pressure would be out there as well. Obviously, that doesn't help, and the top three are now in the lone race, and even with No Sebo now making his stop, getting into P4 would pretty much be it. What about Captain Seamless? He started, I think, P4 ahead of No Sis, but didn't have the start he would have wanted. Got disconnected as well, but coming back, currently running in P12, 7.9 seconds the gap to the next car ahead. That's going to be pretty interesting. And now Certain has pitted. Okay, so that could be a decent one. Anyways, the gap 27 seconds, and he's dropping off massively, or maybe he has some kind of damage with the contact they had. We'll only have to watch and see, but I don't think there is damage though. No front wing in the hand of the mechanics of the car out there. Oh, he's going on the full wet tires. So is it wet enough? Is it really wet enough to go on the full wet tires? I don't think so. But and there you go. And I think it is wet, but it's not wet enough. He might lose all the gap. I thought he was pitting for the fastest lap, or it might be wet enough out there to drive on this tire. But I think it was just the last 2 laps, or maybe he thinks that this wet tire is a quicker one, so it could help him get into P1. But obviously 25 seconds only if Chris puts it in the wall or does some just too much worst of a mistake to get him out. I don't think there is going to be anything stopping him out there, and that is going to be really amazing to see at the moment. And Chris Knifer now swinging around that curb, grande, not grande, but curb. That curb is actually a deadly one. That's not even now on the new games or the new circuit on the F1 24, but in this one it obviously is, and it definitely isn't too good as well. Decent enough now as Chris Knifer started on pole, is looking on to win the sprint, but that would have been really close there, and now we can understand why Certain pitted for the full weight tyres. That was really close. On the exit, Knifer almost lost it. He's lucky it's the final lap that he's gonna go. It's gonna be just one more time that he has to go around the circuit while it's raining. But it would have been disastrous, really disastrous, considering if he had put it in the wall, that definitely wouldn't have been the best for him. And there is a yellow flag out there. I think that has to be Lucas Roth retiring. really close now. Lap 11 out of 11, giving it everything out there on every single lap. I don't think Serton's going to be any quicker on the full wet tyre, but decent enough. He's going to be hopefully feeling no pressure trying to finish it. The race. Meanwhile, Chris or no Sebo might have went wide out there or something. He's still with the golf man. He's not able to gain much time. Surely the man who on dry tyres doesn't really seem to be that quick. And now at the moment it's Chris now for P1 by over 21 seconds. He's sliding around. That might be because of some fun. And now there is no Sebo getting some hard time from the drivers out there. So now the top three, or in fact I shall say the top two, are going to come, and Chris has went wide. Lucky this is the final lap for him, but that would have been really nasty. He's went wide again, and it's really hard now to really drive around in these wet conditions, and he goes wide again, really sliding out there. And I think now it would be historical if he puts it in the wall or does something extraordinary. Certain, who's got the gap to 16 seconds now, and I think just one more mistake would probably put Certain in the consideration of victory. The gap now comes from 27 seconds to 12 seconds, 11 seconds now. Surely his thinking of pitching with a full wet tire was the best, and now Chris is going to go really slow around it. He knows he has enough gap for it, and he's going to come home. He's sliding around, but he won 5 times in the Grand Prix. He's going to come home to take it, to make it a sixth victory, but this one in the sprint, and that is going to be Chris Neifer winning the sprint race here at Spa, and that's going to be certain, finishing P2 after a great fight once again, 2 weeks in a row now. We've had a fantastic fight between the two, and both them finishing in the top 2. No assist, I think, relatively driving a really great race considering others made mistake and did things they shouldn't have. No assist, stood there and did a really good job, and he's going to come home to finish P3. Something to cheer for him as well. Some of the races he hasn't been the best, but this time he does a really good job to make himself come in P3. Take the checkered flag now. Notice it's going to be P5. He's really slowly taking it because this is really very wet. If you even try and push a little bit, you could end up putting yourself in the wall, and I think it's going to be absolutely amazing. Now no Sebo taking the checkered flag as well, so this is the last few drivers maybe taking the checkered flag. Chris Neifer now makes it a sprint victory for him as well. Great job between the top two. Only 4.3 seconds the gap in the end. That was absolutely amazing. I don't know how's the weather gonna be. Obviously we don't have access to the weather as commentators, but we'll have to see if the race starts from dynamic weather, from the weather we're expecting it be wet in the race as well. That'll be interesting to see. But I think on full wet tires it won't be that interesting. Pretty much would be interesting when it is about how it goes for all of these guys. And P2 for Sergio Penna for a great race, and P1 for for Chris Neifer out there. I think our driver today would be no assist, starting pretty much last of the running cars, but getting himself to P3. I think obviously this is a podium celebration, as it says. I think it should probably be another lobby actually that's going to get it to victory now. We hope that it's going to be good, and I think we should be in the same lobby as we go into the race as well. We'll be waiting for it obviously, and hopefully for it to be as good as the sprint race was. We would definitely love to get another lap, and both of them I think 3/10 almost quicker than the fastest lap of Searton Chris Knifer is. So there's 30 seconds before we are on to the next session. We'll see what we can do. Catch you, just get a 30 seconds break. I think it should be loading around again, as obviously this game back in 2020 there was no sprint races, so no rule or no actually no thing that could get us to be running and sprint race. So obviously this runs into it. There's 4 drivers. Teenless now looking to join. I'm sure he would join in a little bit time, as we are waiting on everybody else as well to be in the session. And now it is going to be, I'm sure the qualifying should be turned off now, because obviously the qualifying pretty much would be not required now at the moment. 50% race would be the one we'd be looking for. Obviously the qualifying goes to none now, and sure not. So just in a little bit time we should be going on into the race and the main Grand Prix, which is going to be absolutely amazing to do as well. Just as everybody's into the session and the settings and everything's ready and getting this Grand Prix session of 50% race, the sprint being 11 laps, so the Grand Prix would be 50% with 50% should be 22 laps here at the Belgian Grand Prix. As amazing the sprint was, I'm really excited for this race as well. Hope all of you are as well. I'm sure it's going to be another banger and an absolute great one to watch and enjoy watching out there with everything out there. I'm sure it's going to be amazing with all these 5 drivers giving it everything, but especially the top 2, Searton and Chris Knifer. I'm sure it's going to be amazing to all of them as well, as everyone just readies up. We should be going into the next session in no time. Just 20 seconds to the grid now. So that is going to be really interesting, as it's going to be in fact a wet session. So this is going to be really interesting. Expect a lot of mistakes. Expect some expertise from around the grid as well. All of these 5 ones surely want to be doing amazing, and they definitely want to be getting the better of everyone else. But I'm sure it's in the rain. It's going to be interesting who gets the better of one or the other, as these all of them just get the best setup they can and get a better setup. Probably then qualifying, which was obviously wet, and the start of the sprint race was which was dry, and the start of the sprint race was dry as well. We'll have to wait and see. I think it'll be pretty interesting to get things around. I'm sure we should be getting on to the Grand Prix at any time, any minute now, and getting on to the great action that we've been wanting to. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal to watch and watch along as well for this British Grand Prix. As good as the sprint was, I'm sure it's going to be absolutely a greater and fantastic Grand Prix race as well, which is going to be 22 laps, as we're just waiting for some of them. As all of them are in, we should be going on to the next session very, very soon. I'm not sure what's really going on, which I think pretty much would be of... not sure what's... As my own voice just echoes a little bit, but that doesn't matter. Let's ignore that out, and we're waiting on now for the Grand Prix to begin, for the race to start, as obviously everybody's trying to get the best setups for themselves, and there you go. That is now going to be everybody readying up with just 20 seconds now remaining, as we're waiting for No Sebo to ready up and his team to get his car underway and in the best conditions they want him to be. So it's a really amazing race. It's going to be a great race now. So that's Chris Knifer starting, obviously winning the sprint race. It was a great fight in the end. Certain got against P2 as well. But it's going to be amazing to see who does better or who does greater than the other in this wet conditions, in this conditions that are really tricky to drive. Surely we saw all of these drivers making mistakes, but obviously that was them being on the dry tires in the wet conditions. But obviously now they're on the correct tire, they're on the tire they would want to be and should be on. But that doesn't always mean you're going to be good enough, or that doesn't always mean that you'll be free to push now, or free to without any worries push. I'm sure it's always going to be great fun and great racing around for everybody else, and drivers out there doing races as well. So these cars, actually, I just realized that the rear tires are a bit bigger than the front tires. That is an interesting thing, and almost on the exit of that, on the exit of the corner, this was really close. So surely some mistakes might be made by some greats as well. We'll have to see how it goes. Though I think if you all remember, a wet race at Brazil was won by him, was won by Chris, but obviously it was a tricky one. So I think it being rain, it would be really crucial to get the great as good of a start they can, as good of a start as they can, as it would obviously mean they want to be doing a better job, and definitely everybody wants to be at the top. But a sprint race, a race back in Brazil, a wet one, was won by Chris, but I think sure he's been struggling a little bit more in this wet session. As long as Certain doesn't spin, doesn't make many mistakes, there could be a good chance. But only if Chris makes some mistakes, because otherwise this man is untouchable. We'll have to see what it's gonna be. Lap 0 out of 22, which is of course the formation lap, but now everybody is going to be making their way to be it and come to the end of it and be it ready, as the cars are leaving some smoke. Certain car is really leaving some smoke at the back of the exhaust out there, and these wet and cooler conditions for all of these drivers now, as they definitely lining up on the grid as quickly as they can and get into the races. Teenless now lines up on the grid P7. That was decent enough recovery for him as well. And in the end, No Sebo was beaten up by the AI to be P5. But that is going to be 5 red lights, and we go for the Belgian Grand Prix. That is a decent start for the pole sitter, and a good start for him actually this time. A bit better than Certain, and Certain almost puts himself into the wall. He does put himself into the wall there. As we just get on board with him, that was definitely not the start he would have wanted. From P2 to almost P17, almost last on the grid now. We were, as I just said at the start, as there's going to be a great there's going to be a great fight as long as Certain doesn't make any mistakes. And sure, he did make one really at the beginning of the race as well, and this is definitely going to hurt him after finishing P2 and taking the lead at the start of the sprint. There was a big chance that he was going to do something, give some fight to Chris, which obviously isn't going to happen anymore, and Chris is already pushing some purple sectors. But now, no assist, currently P2. This could be a great for him, but I think we'll have to see how good Nosebo does, who's made his way past most of the drivers currently to P3. Certain kind of give up his own position pretty easily, so not much of a fight to him to give to him for Nosebo, and it's going to be really amazing now. Certain's having to fight these guys because in the wet conditions and so much traffic now, he needs to navigate through to really get past. And on these wet tires, almost goes into the wall around the outside, really going wide, very going wide it was. Around the outside now, he would want to be one of the late breakers to make this move. He does make the mistake though into P15, but obviously now he needs to make no mistake till the end, the very last lap of the Grand Prix, to do some recovery. And Chris is already starting his journey to victory, 2.6 seconds. But it's a wet race. Expect nothing but blunders from drivers. Expect nothing from but mistakes, but some expertise and some excellence as well from some of them. And I'm sure it's going to be all amazing for everybody around as well. Chris Neifer now at the end of lap 1 keeps the lead. He lost it at the start of the sprint, but keeps it. Surely learned from the mistake, especially it starts in the wet. Hasn't been the best, and Jeanless makes a mistake, and that he's stuck at the pit entry. He's going to pit, having not a front wing that's good enough, and I think Certain pits as well. He definitely does. I was also going to say that there might be no pit stops from drivers not making any mistakes, because if they could make these wet tires last the 22 laps, there shouldn't be no thing of pitting or any rule that you have to pit behind the safety car. So this is the game's bug at the moment. Chris is leading now. This is as you can see, we have to fight. These are P2 and P3 positions though. Chris Neifer currently in P1, quite decent enough. He's going through safely. Now this battle is going to be interestingly shaping around with Nosebo looking to get into second place. He definitely wants to do all the recovery. A mistake that he made in the sprint race. Surely wants it recovered and wants it better and wants it to himself. I think the sprint race, and then again double action for this weekend, which is absolutely amazing, as well as all of these drivers now looking really excited and amazing to give up to fight each other out there and really give it everything. As 6 seconds now the gap to P1 and P2, but I'm sure no assist might go and have a look at it at the moment. Certain currently running in P19, 3.3 seconds the gap to the car ahead, and this is now going to be exciting again, the battle, and I'm sure Gnosis is going to give it everything, especially in these wet conditions, where if you make a mistake, you have to be very cautious. Obviously, if you make a mistake out on track, it's going to be you putting some time yourself in the wall, and that could be a chance for Nosebo. He's already going to try and make the move, and no assist. He doesn't even have to be in a corner. He has to be in just on the main straight, not the main straight, but the straight before the final corner at the best stop chicane. He makes the move already, and I think now the gap isn't much. Did Knifer made a mistake? He might have done so, as the gap was 6 seconds. That is now just almost a second, and no assist there. Does a really good job stopping just before hitting the wall. Decent enough job to keep himself in P3 as well as just his position. I think he knew that P2 was probably not going to be P1, P2 was not going to be his. P3 could be his best chances, and there could be what we can see now. Currently Chris Neifer running around in P1. The gap is 8.4 seconds though. That was something wrong with the graphic, showing some less grip out there, which is obviously Not what you want, but I think these F1 2020 graphics have something about them. Chris Nyfrick seems to be going better and better again. What about Tina's currently P19. Certain, might be having a look at Certain, but the gap to the car ahead still quite a lot, 9.5 seconds. And I think maybe a top 3 finish could be a 50-50 for him. But we'll have to see how he's going to try and do that, because 12 seconds, not 12 seconds, it's more 8.3 to the car ahead. And obviously some cars are closer to each other, running in some trains, maybe trainer cars, but even if he's through all of those, he's going to end up being in P4, which is still 6.7 seconds ahead of him. And I think Noah says maybe making some mistakes could be a chance for him though, but if he doesn't make any mistakes, there could well be a good chance for Noah to take P3 as well. I think this is his best chance for P3 to P3. P3 in the sprint race because of a mistake from Certain out there, and I think this time he has a proper chance. In the sprint he took P3 because of a mistake by No Sebo, but this time he might do it because of a mistake from Certain. I'm sure he doesn't like it, but also Teenless, who started P7 as well, making a decent recovery in the sprint, but to see what he's going to be able to. Now he's getting up to the cars, now he's getting up to the traffic that he would want to navigate through as quick as possible for his remainder of the race. To make his remainder of the race better would be Certain. I'm sure he's only in P18 though, but still 2.4 seconds ahead of Teenless out there, and he definitely wants to be making these moves now. This is really close. I think he has to be very careful, almost going into the back of the car ahead, and that would be interesting how he's going to get through these guys, because obviously they are really slow. But if he makes a mistake, or if he does something like damaging his car again, he would have to pit again. Obviously doesn't want that, as now that is fastest lap for Teenless out there. That is interesting, but now Certain, I think, on the straight up through a Rouge and Redion, he would have to make many moves out there as well, because definitely he needs to navigate through all the traffic from P17 to all the way straight up to P4. It's a whole train of cars that are staying together and staying together out there. Obviously drivers making moves, Certain making moves as well. He has to be really careful to navigate through this traffic again. We'll have to see how long does it take him to get on lap 4. He's P15. We'll see how good he's done within 10 laps and on to lap 14 though, but I think that's a long time. He should be able to navigate through all of these guys within a few laps around the outside. These guys are really slow, these are the AI ones, but obviously he has to get through these guys pretty decently, because otherwise a mistake could cause big trouble again. A mistake could put you in the wall, and obviously that's not what you want, and we'll have to see how good he's going to be able to do. Teenless is doing a decent job as well out there, trying to put it out there the best he can and try and do the better and amazing tires. And we'll have a look at the fastest lap. That is actually Teenless 117.9, just a few tenths quicker than the race leader actually at the moment. But that obviously depends that he has to do it consistently. He's now closer to the trainer cars as well, and he could give some hard time to Certain out there, who's made his way past into P11 now. He's making his way on the main drivers, who's going to be into P10 in no time. But we'll have to see how he's going to be with the cars ahead, with drivers falling behind the grid as well. Some of them. Teenless really going wide out there on the exit, not having the exit he would have wanted. But now, whereas Certain that we're having a look at is into P9, he's doing a really good job. I think even before lap 14 he might be able to get into P4. But we'll have to see, because obviously even after P4 it's over a 19-second gap into P2 or to P3. So obviously a podium might be out of reach. But obviously it's never never know in such circumstances and such conditions, especially in a wet condition that is going to be, which is going to be the drivers making mistakes, and anybody could lose anything at any time. But I think at the moment, at least the top runners are enjoying themselves. No Sebo would be trying to get the best result of the weekend, of the session for MP2. Chris Knifer on set to match his best result of the last two races that is won in France and in the UK at the British Grand Prix. And now Serton making his way past Sari now onto the fight, Lucas Rose. He's going to make his way around the outside of him as well, but it might not be easy for him. Around the down the inside line he goes for it, and he has to give now off to fight some against Martin Gilles to make the move as well. There's going to be a yellow flag, and many cars behind make mistakes. One make mistake that goes wide, and that is going to be a virtual safety car. I think how big of a crash that was. That might have been a full safety car, but that's going to be a virtual safety car. That is so much debris on the track, and many cars crashing out as well. That is some not good news for any other drivers. But I think if this was a full safety car, would have definitely benefited the likes of Sturton and Teamless out there, who are obviously trying to make their moves up the grid. And definitely Chris wouldn't want a full safety car at the moment, but obviously in this game there's no option to convert it from a virtual safety car to a full safety car. But obviously it is still going to be yellow flags, and the cars making their moves through. Teamless into P9 as well, but he has to be very careful. He himself sometimes makes some mistakes that are shouldn't be making, and down the inside line goes for ahead of him, and he loses so many positions on the entry, but now has to pit. I think that's some damage he got. He's going to pit again, and Certain already into P6. That is some great recovery within just 2 laps. He's made it from P15 to P6 at the moment. Surely will be P4, P5 and P4 in no time. That's going to be Sergeant now set for another move down the inside line. He's going to think for that, and he makes that move stick almost round, maybe running a bit wide, but he sure makes it smooth out there and takes it smooth as well, keeping it decent enough. It's P4 out, and lap 6 out of 22 out there. P4 and 27 seconds the gap, though. I think that gap is a lot, but he might be just a bit quicker than no assist, though. I think 27 seconds. Obviously he has to be taking many seconds of no assist actually on the whole until the end of the race to probably get something off him. Remember, he had to pit as well, so obviously those pretty much are the 37 seconds that he might not be able to make, but we'll have to see how it stands around for him in the race as well. P4 for him, but I think so far 26.6 seconds for him. Then we'll have to see what the best we can do. And I just touch a cable. Obviously I shouldn't be doing that. On lap 7 the leader is, and it's 26 seconds ahead of the driver in P2, so the race leader currently smooth enough. He's going pretty decently around it, and he's going smoothly with it at the moment. He has made it amazing, and we'll have to see what we are going to we will see what we can do. And currently lap 7 of 22. Man, we're a long way to go in this race. Obviously, someone and something we need to make this race alive, and I think Serton's 26 seconds would be important. 25 they turn into, and I think he's going to be gaining many tenths and many seconds of no assist, and I'm sure he has to gain that, because obviously that's going to be interesting to get things around. And it's lap 7 out of 22. I've probably said it this many times, but I think at this point there's not much interesting left in this race, obviously after 11 lap sprint. But we'll see what we can do, and we'll get things done as I just pause for a second. And there we go. We are gonna make, we're gonna get things done as lap 8 out of 22. Currently 29 seconds now. The gap turns. This probably would be his biggest victory margin. 29.4 seconds. As it stands, it is now, I think Teenless making some mistakes, but he had to pit again for the second time. He did not make a mistake this time. I think maybe he might have made a mistake though, for getting that damage, but we'll have to see. Currently running in P4. I think he's just kind of the guy that comes, does his race and goes. But the gap to okay, there we go. He's really doing a great job now. But 9.4 seconds as the gap to Nosebo, but at least within 25 seconds. I think maybe Certain is not gaining as much time as possible, or surely it would be possible, but obviously there's not as much time as he should for him to get to the end of the race and catch no assist. He's obviously 24.7 seconds ahead of him. Certain's doing about a tenth. No assist is improving as well. I think as long as no mistakes from no assist, the belt could be his podium chances, but I think we'll have to see how good could Certain do. This is a proper chance for him to go to recovery as well. He's been doing that the last few races as well, because not having the starts he would want, and then things come around. But we'll see what we can do. We'll see what things could be done, as it's 24.4 seconds now, which is obviously increasing at some point as well, but it's pretty much going down for Certain. It's pretty much good news for him at this point though. Well, on lap 8 out of 22, so still about 14 laps to the end of the Grand Prix. We would want, so that is going to be 10, and then Chris Snifer gets the fastest lap finally. We'll have to see. It's obviously not going to be 14 laps. I think it should be more actually, as we are, it actually would be 14 though, maybe. I'm just a bit confused at the moment, but lap 9 out of 22, we're not much, and there we go. That second now gap's coming back to 23.9 seconds. 33 seconds. Is he about to win by a minute or what? Chris Snifer, the race leader, he's really giving it all. He's really pushing through, pushing the performance and getting things around. We'll have to see what would it be for them though, but I think we might have to have a look at Teenless now, who's making way, and he's making way past Jonas now. He's going to try and make his way past Jonas, who's going to be looking to defend as well, but obviously Teenless now around the outside. He's going to make the move stick. He's going to come back at him, but he might not come back at him though. He's just going to make the move stick into P12, and he's on the way to recovery for the second time in this race so far. As the first one he did was obviously not the way he would want it, so he's doing it and he's on it again, and I'm sure he's going to be trying to get it and get it in the best way possible now, and at least get to P5 that he can. The gap is a lot, but the AI drivers are obviously not as quick as you would think, or any normal driver though. 22.2 seconds now. That's nearly a lot, actually, more than 1 second a lap. That's like 2 to 3 seconds a lap for certain to catch Norris's towards the end. Unless he's making any big mistakes, there would not be. It wouldn't really be easy for certain to catch him though. Still already on lap 9, which is going to turn lap 10 as the lead, as our race leader is going to make his way past make his way past the finish line just now. Is coming at the end of it. Now into lap 10 we go. So that's going to be 12 laps, including 13 laps to the end of the Grand Prix, including this one. Still many more though, considering there's no battle. Actually, Noah seems to be gaining on No Sebo at the moment. 8 seconds the gap now. Teamless makes another position. He goes through it. Oh, is he still slowing down? He's really slowing down out there. That 10 out of 22 is going to surely make things around. This lap 11, P11 indeed for Teamless. Is he going to make the move down the inside? He's going to go for it for a little bit time though. He's going to go for it indeed, but is he going to make the move stick? Sure, he will make the move stick. That was really close at least. Maybe making contact, and again I think he's made the contact with the with the front of the car behind and his rear end. So I think there won't really be much damage for him though, as long as front wing's okay. I don't think there is any much damage sustained in this game in these cars. So he's close and he's good for so far though. But we'll see what could be time. He's going to make another move, almost again damaging his front wing, and I think he indeed did damage his front wing. He's really, I think at the moment, just having fun and pretty much maybe giving us some action out here, because he's again damaged his front wing by making a move down the inside line, and he's going to pit, and he's made so many pit stops in this race already. We have to have a look at it. He's made already 2 pit stops and make it 3, as he's going to come home to change tyres once again, and the front wing change as well. But I wonder if that was his 2 stops though. Yes, that was his 2 stops before. That's going to be 3 for him now. As certain at the moment the gap 21.8 seconds. I think pretty much now, actually just 2 seconds per lap, which I don't think he's gaining up by. And actually No Assist is gaining rapidly on No Sebo at this point. He's really doing a good job. No Assist in the wet conditions, or actually it's now pretty much dry. I think it's not raining anymore, and there's some dry patches out on the track as well. And definitely these guys, I think, would be looking to pit as anytime soon. They would be looking to pit to get the dry tires on, but still there is some spray and there is some water out on track, which is obviously not going to give them the best grip. But we'll have to see how good are they going to be able to do, as we would definitely want to see some action, some mix-up around the grid, some fighting as well, which you haven't done so this race so far. But lap 11 out of 22 now. Our race leader already at the beginning of it, certain now just beginning with it. As into lap 12 we go would be 10 laps to the end of the Grand Prix, but of course we're excited for it, and I'm sure there would be some racing around. Maybe surely we're seeing some water, but I don't really see physically any water out on track. Maybe it's not graphically well available, but I'm sure maybe it is time for it is time for dry conditions now. It is time for the dry tires to go on and give us the fight that we've been waiting for, and give us the interesting performance that we've been looking to see. We surely saw something amazing in the sprint race, the glimpse of it, but a mistake from certain meant there was no close fight between the top 2 or the top 3, as No Sebo was probably not having best of the race. Surely he's decently done a good job but he did not start at the front, so obviously his chance of taking the top 2 wouldn't have been the best, starting in P5. So this is definitely amazing for him, though. Now Chris is pitting, and there you go. Now he's pitting, as I said. The time for dry tyres would be on, and there comes Chris Neifer into the pits right behind him. As drivers may follow him as well. We'll have to see who follows and who doesn't for the time being. We definitely want it's pretty much last box that is his, and that is going to be dry tyres going on as the as the track is completely dry now, which is obviously what the drivers want, really. I think the drivers would be wanting that. And now I think even after not pitting, Neifer pitting up for the dry tyres, Sebo's going to have those. Oh, he's pitting for the wet. Okay, I thought he's going to pit for the dry tyres. My bad though. Yeah, Chris has to get through some traffic. I thought he was going to pit probably for the dry tyres. I haven't seen no more rain, but he still pits for the wet tyres, which obviously you wouldn't want that. And I see some car flying, and that is a half a front wing missing maybe from the Benetton of Calabrese. But is it going to be a safety car? Is it going to be a virtual safety car, or just the yellow flags? There's a gap between the leaders of 17.1 seconds. But what about these guys? Are they going to make this wet tire go to the end? I'm sure Chris was clear of all the other drivers, so he didn't need to pit really. But I'm sure he's going to try and make things round. 6.9 seconds the gap between the no Sebo and no assist. This is going to be really close. 19.5 seconds now, but 19 seconds, 10 laps. Is it going to be enough? Only we'll get to know towards the end of the race. I think that might not be enough, because I think it's going to be interesting to see how it stands. Currently P4 for certain. He's been in P4 for the most of the race after a problem, after a mistake, and then had to recover the whole grid. And I think Teamless might have pitted, and he has pitted for the dry tires. Exactly what I was saying. The conditions might be there for dry. I mean, he's got nothing to lose, so he might try something around though, because the dry tires might be time for the dry tires though. We'll see what it does. And Chris is not coming in the pits. He's continuing on those wet tires, so not much we could say about those, as now it's going to be lap 13. Our race leader is going to be going on too, so that will mean it'll now remain even less than 10 laps in this Grand Prix here at Spa. Chris seems to be on for victory number 4 in a row, but we obviously have to wait till the end of the race to call it around, as Ruth gets a 5-second time penalty, surf collision with Gilles, and that's a yellow flag as cars following behind tumble in behind, and that's a huge crash again. That is a huge pile-up between these guys. Obviously we're not focusing much at the back of the grid, but this is pretty much some problems, and I think this is a safety car. Yes, this is going to cause a safety car, and that is going to be somewhat bad news for the drivers running at the top. And I think especially I feel bad for No Assists, who really was looking on to finish on the podium, at least for time being, and obviously you would not want that. But I think a proper chance for certain to get closer to the top guys now, as well as now Chris having a No Assist fitting for the dry tyres as well, so it's definitely time for some dry tyres. I wonder if the top guys are going to try and opt for that. Chris Neifer so far running on the full wet tyre, as now Certain has pitted, but he has opted for a full wet tyre. Obviously some definitely very different strategies and very different thinkings from all kinds of drivers running around. And No Assist currently on the dry tyres though. But are those going to be good enough? Because if they are, he's going to be able to. And this is really close. Someone coming up behind really fast could end up being in the wall. It's going to be really, really interesting. And there we go. He just has to maybe get through these guys. I don't know why they haven't been cleared, or they just stopped out on the track. for nothing out there. But we'll see what these guys can do. Not much that is... there you go, it's pretty much dry. I think it's really fully dry at the moment, and definitely that safety car, exactly what we needed. That 13 out of 22. At the moment, P2 for No Sebo. But I think surely he would love that, to be closer to Nyford, to be having a chance of attacking him, to be having a chance of attacking him, having a chance of attacking anybody out there who's going to be just ahead of them. And obviously chance, surely I think Chris would not like that, so wouldn't No Assist, who was obviously way ahead of Certain and was looking for a good P3 finish. But I think now it's going to be hard for him to keep up that P3, obviously after maybe not having as good of a pace as Certain though. But I think obviously you never know, maybe he just does have some good pace, especially on dry tires. It would be some odd strategy to get him off the line in P3, but if that strategy is working, and there you go, now everybody's going on for the strategy that is the dry tires. Certain is the only one yet to make a pit stop for the dry tires. Obviously it was a little less wet on the previous lap, but even now fully dry conditions, and he is going to be pitting. Obviously I thought, why he's not pitting? He's going to be pitting, and he's going to be in P4 anyways, so it's definitely a good chance for him to pit and be in a position. And there you go, Chris now behind the safety car. So I think that safety car picking up lap 14 pretty much could be lap 16, 15 and 16. I think a restart could be expected lap 17, so pretty much a sprint to the end of the grid, to the end of the race. As we maybe get through the safety car, obviously I think the sprint to the end of the race would be interesting to see, as we would wait for these guys to do definitely as they fitted the brand new tires. That would be very interesting to see. The brand new tires, brand new dry tires for the top four of the race. As for Teenless still running the full wet tire, which obviously he shouldn't be, but I think he would be if he really feels that it is the way for him to do it in this race. But I think so far he's taking it cleanly. He's made many mistakes, but currently running in P8. He's not pitting, or he's just far away from the pit stop. He is far away from the pit stop, so definitely gonna take time, and that is now lap 14 out of so it's a safety car now, and so I think safety car still gonna run a little long. I have just got to be somewhere, and I'll be back in a minute's time. Just be back in a minute as the safety car is back into the pits, and I'm sure it's going to take at least one more lap. So obviously it's not going to go into the pits in this lap. So just be back in a minute where I will be. And there we go, we're back and definitely in a better position than I was before. And let's get it now. Let's get it done. We're on lap 15 of 22. I think the safety car might run this lap, one more lap again. So we'll have to see what we can do. There we go, it is lap 16 the safety car is going to go into, and as I predicted, it is obviously not going to go in on this lap, so I think it's going to go in on this lap now. That's going to be lap 16, and pretty much it's going to be a sprint to the end, and a restart at lap 17, so that's going to be lap 17, 18, 19, 5, 6 laps to the end of the race, and flying laps, green flag racing that would be. But I think it's going to be very interesting now, really close to Chris is no Sebo actually. Oh, so it's a lapped car in between. That's definitely going to actually help Chris at the moment. Surely that'll have to get out of the way, but many lapped cars actually, no assist, and there is actually no lapped car between Senna, Certain and no assist. But it's going to be interesting to see how good of a restart can anybody get. Lap 16 out of 22 running at this point in this race so far, and I'm sure it's going to be really interesting to get through this amazing phase of the Grand Prix. That's going to be not many laps to the end of the race. Obviously it's yellow flags behind the safety car, no overtaking so far, so either Chris could let the lapped car unlap themselves, but I'm sure there isn't an option such like that on this game, so the drivers behind pretty much would have to deal with it rather than Chris himself. It's rather a defendable weapon, a defending weapon for him at this point of the race, but we'll have to see if what he can do now. And safety car, okay, so it's going decent enough. It's obviously far away. Oh, that might be the case, and No Sebo has done it. No Sebo, the AI car being very, very slow, has managed to overtake him actually, and that is going to be somewhat bad news for Chris, as safety car is now going to be coming in this lap. Exactly what I said. So now the chance for No Sebo to get a better restart than Chris would be 100%. No, it wouldn't be 100%, but would be a lot more than it should have been before. No Sebo, the man who's won 2 Grand Prix this season, one in Italy and the one in Monaco, could well be the winner here at the Belgian Grand Prix if he gets a better start or gets ahead of Chris Neifer at the race restart. At the safety car restart, we'll have to see how good he's able to do, or even car drivers behind might have a chance at that themselves as well. I think there's 2 lapped cars before now, and is Chris going to go for it? And I think he has went for it. Yes, he has went for it. And now No Sebo is actually going to have to let all those AI cars stay behind him, and that is going to be pretty much smooth sailing and smooth overtake for not an overtake but smooth getting off the line for Chris Neifer now. No assist, and Certain and Penn are going to be really close to each other now. I think he's going to make the move down the inside line. He doesn't make the move yet. No, he doesn't make it too much, and I think I saw a car going in towards the wall, and that might have been no assist, and that would have been no assist. Glad that he didn't hit the wall, but sure, that would have been really interesting if he did. So obviously he wouldn't want to towards the end of the race, and now he's pretty much gifted that P3. I really wanted to finish P3 in this race, but he's pretty much gifted it to Certain at this point 2.4 seconds the gap between the P1 and P2, having both the laps behind the safety car. The tires are brand new for everybody, and No Sebo now needs to get past the AI cars, let lap them and really get past them really quick, clearly and quickly as possible. They would definitely want to make that happen, and he's now going to try and do the best he can, and he's going to make the move around the outside. So will Certain as well, and now really close, almost hitting the wall around the outside for the second time. We'll have to see what it's going to be like for now. Seba now feeling the pressure from Certain at the moment. 1.6 seconds to 1.6 seconds the gap. I think Certain might have a chance at Chris as well, but only if he's able to get past. No Sebo though, and that's not going to be easy. I think Pete's lap 17, still lap 17. Chris is not even past near to that 3.8 seconds, 1.3 seconds between them now. Teenless getting the fastest lap. We're really getting some of those on tires being a bit better than the others. But obviously those are done by overtaken by Chris, but might be overtaken by everyone going up the grid now. Obviously everyone's on their first laps on these dry tires, and across that line, finish line, it's going to be actually a very slow lap for Certain. It's a good lap, it's an improving lap, and now the time they got 1.6 seconds between the top three, but a chance. I think he moved to the inside. Why did he move so much to the right hand side? And that was really close. Sebo, I think, might have made the same mistake that Noah assisted, and that is P2 for Certain. He's really overtook him before they could even get to the Eau Rouge, to the straight after Eau Rouge and Redion, and that was really close between the two now. 5.1 seconds the gap. I only doubt if Certain's going to be able to catch up to Chris. But sure, he's improving on his lap and he's doing as good as he can, and why not? He might be able to do so. But I think 5.6 seconds to gap. Not many laps towards the end now, remaining 5 laps including this one. Obviously not many to the end though, so we'll see what we can do. This is going to be exceptionally well. I think it is going to take a good time before the race has ended. Obviously, also don't go anywhere. There is going to be interviews as well, race interviews, post-race interviews with the top 3 of our drivers. So it is lap 18 out of 22 now, so 5.8 seconds to the race later, and 1.8 seconds to P3 for Certain. I think another good chance for No Sebo to be getting into P2 has been gone up. He pretty much didn't make it. He might have just made a mistake and got it through. So it's P1, P2, P3. Lap 18 out of 22. I think, and there we go. Chris Knifer now just making his way into the bus stop chicane, the final, and first the final and the last corner that is going to be, and across that finish line. I think the finish line is actually moved a little up actually than the normal cars there would, and there goes Chris, gets the fastest lap. Certain doesn't. Comes out of the pits, does Teenless, and I think he's going to be making another pit stop. He's made so many, or is it him or is it someone else? I think it might be Teenless. It is Teenless though. He's made so many pit stops, and he's going to brace his lap for P8 at this point in this race. We'll see what we can get from the remaining battle in this race though. Gap to P1 and P2, 5 seconds though, so it's still a big one to catch though, but I'm sure it's going to be interesting to see the fight if there was, but only not many laps now remain though till the end of the Grand Prix. Lap 19 it is, and it's going to be line 20, 21, 22 will be the end of the race, but I'm sure no assist that would be happy enough with P4. I think a position up where he qualified, and No Sebo, I think would love to get P2, but I think Certain's in the last 3 rounds. Certain has actually seemed to be a bit quicker than No Sebo, and gained a lot of pace, and probably doing a great job than he normally would. And he's probably, I think at the start of the season he was a bit slow, but he's really caught up. I think he's somewhat within a few tenths of Chris as well, and even in qualifying. But in the race he gives him a good tough time as well. Obviously not in such situation, but at least in defending he does a decent enough job. We'll try and keep him out there, and still at the moment 5.2 seconds to gap. He's gaining a little bit on Chris Neifer as well, but I'm sure he's I doubt that he's going to be able to gain pretty much all of the time, but decent enough would be. So oh, no assist actually has came back, but obviously that is from not from the sprint race, not from them qualifying these positions, and it stops as we are. Stewarton now going to get the fastest lap. Well, might be the chance, but I think we'll see. And no Sebo then gets the fastest lap as well. Both of them flying out there. This is really close, the top three. But I think just the gap of the gap of Chris Neifer into P2 is actually just too much. I think 5.2 seconds. But the fight between No Sebo and Seraton might just be out there, and definitely something that we would want to see just towards the ending laps of the Grand Prix. Seraton goes to 7,000 of a second quicker in the first sector than his previous lap time, but obviously No Sebo behind is not slowing down as well. He's rapidly trying to catch him to get his P2 back, which he obviously would have wanted, but currently for lap 20 out of 22 now. These ending laps always produce something special, and I'm sure this could be one if No Sebo's going to try and catch up. But I think 1.9 seconds the gap might be maintained even if he's doing something a bit quicker than him, but would just be a bit better. We'll have to see what Chris is able to do at the end of the first sector. It's going to be 26.5, 3.5 seconds quicker. I think, not to doubt anything, but at times this almost feels like dodgy, but 1.4 seconds improvement for Seraton and 1.2 for No Sebo as well. So obviously the track is trying again and again, so that probably is the best and the most improvement times they would be wanting. And now, as it stands, it is P2 just making their way onto the bus stop chicane right behind No Sebo. Chris Neifer gets the fastest lap, 1:59.1. What about Seraton though? He had the fastest lap previously. Is he going to take it again? He does not. So does No Sebo. Both of them stay inside that 2 seconds, inside that 2 minute mark, 2:01. But Seraton as a Chris Neifer into P1 though. All the drivers started with 20 drivers, a lot of them getting disqualified and some of them getting DNFs as well, so making it a 12 driver grid now, with which 5 official drivers currently running in the battle from P1 to P4 and then P8 to Captain Teenless, and he's just running very wide to Chris Neifer out there, so pretty much maybe he might get a warning for that of how wide he went on the exit. These two are actually decent enough. 1.2 seconds again. Chris actually No Sebo gaining some time on Seraton once again, as we still got a lap and a half to go, a lap and a half to go to make something about it. I think it'd be interesting if he's able to actually do something about it though, but I don't think if he is going to be P2 would be a phenomenal result for Seraton. I mean, P2 in the sprint, and if he's also just able to get P2 in the race, that would be fantastic for him, considering also how he started the race, falling behind to P17, having to make a pit stop as well very early, as he's made 3 pit stops. Some of the at the top have made only 1, but we'll have to see how it goes around, as now your race leader Chris Neifer 8.3 seconds ahead of the race of the driver in P2, and now he's just gotten on the exit of the bus stop chicane. He's going to go into turn 1 to land the final lap of the Grand Prix. Into turn 1, we're just going to pretty much pick it up when he's in the final sector. Seraton's improving again and again, so obviously he wants to be finishing ahead of No Sebo, but then he's also trying to improve and try and get ahead of Seraton. This is going to be really close, maybe a last lap close battle, as the gap now comes to less than 1 whole second. This could be some fighters. I think still a huge gap, maybe far off to make a move, but it could be interesting on this straight. that obviously doesn't have DRS but does have the slipstream. So with this Dower Gid, those defending skills of Zerton would be tested, and tested bigly, and he's far away. Not much that he would be expecting. You would be expecting him to overtake though. Lap 22. Now the gap less than a second once again, as the race leader still just in the middle sector, making their way past just at the end of the final sector, trying to take the fastest lap. I think Chris is obviously going to give it everything to get that fastest lap. He's going to give it everything to get everything around, and we'll have to see. 1.6 seconds slower than his previous lap, but obviously, and certain a tenth quicker than his previous lap. But obviously, the final lap, that doesn't really matter. I think at P2, just keeping the P2 would be a good job for him. As Chris Sniper now just making his way around the left ender onto the bus stop chicane. Let it be qualifying, let it be sprint, or let it be the main Grand Prix race. It is going to be Chris Sniper at the top of the timing sheet, and it's going to be P1 for Chris. He wins at the Belgian Grand Prix here at Spa and makes it 3 Grand Prix wins in a row, and that's going to be Sertan Penna finishing in P2 after a horrendous start. A good recovery for him, and no Sebo in the end gets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, unless Dawes could do something about it. Finishes P3 as well. I think after a start in P5, P3 would be good for him as well, as now that's going to be the top 4 finishing up, and that is going to be it for the Belgian Grand Prix. But wait and be here, there could be some interviews out there, I think. I'm not sure if there are going to be, but if there are, that's going to be interesting to see out there as well. And they are your podium celebrations. That trophy means something. It means absolutely everything, as he definitely wants to be taking pole position. He wants to be at the top of the timing sheets every time. Let it be qualifying, sprint race, or the main race. He's always out on top though. We'll see if the interviews are taken, but just will update you about that now. Surely that's going to be it for the Grand Prix time, as that's going to be it now. So no interviews tonight. Obviously it's a great race, along with the sprint. Obviously it takes so much time out of everyone, and some performance as well. So we'll see what we can do. So for this time, that'll be it for tonight. Catch you up next time on the Tuesday, pretty much, maybe on the F1 CRR Twitch channel. So if you haven't subscribed to that already, do it now. And myself, Zebex, and